Warren Buffett has been one of the richest people on earth for decades. His fortune has climbed past $100 billion. He could buy private islands. He could own the world's largest yacht. He could live in a palace larger than most luxury hotels. But he doesn't. For more than 60 years, Buffett has continued living in the same house he bought in Omaha, Nebraska back in 1958. He paid just $31,500 for it. Today, that amount would barely buy a new luxury SUV. Yet the man known as the Oracle of Omaha has never felt the need to replace it with a mansion. He doesn't collect supercars. He doesn't own a fleet of private yachts. He rarely spends money the way people expect billionaires to. To many, it makes no sense. Why would someone with virtually unlimited wealth choose to live such an ordinary life? Was it simply modesty? Was it a carefully crafted public image? Or was there a much deeper philosophy behind every dollar he refused to spend? The truth is, Warren Buffett's greatest secret was never how he made billions. It was why he never felt the need to spend them. And that single decision may explain why he became one of the greatest investors in history. To understand why the world's most famous billionaire quietly lived like an ordinary neighbor, we have to go back to where it all began. Part 2: Childhood and the Early Struggles. Long before he became one of the richest men in history, Warren Buffett was just a curious boy growing up in Omaha, Nebraska. Unlike many billionaires, Buffett didn't dream of becoming famous. He dreamed of making money. His fascination with business started almost as soon as he could count. At 6 years old, he bought packs of chewing gum and bottles of Coca-Cola from his grandfather's grocery store, and then went door to door selling them for a small profit. To most children, it was a way to earn pocket money. To Buffett, it was his first investment. By the time he was 11, he bought his first stock. The investment didn't go as planned. After purchasing 3 shares of Citi's Service Preferred, the price quickly fell. Most children would have panicked. Buffett waited patiently. When the stock finally recovered, he sold it for a small profit. Soon after, the price continued climbing far higher. That experience taught him one of the most important lessons of his life. Patience often creates far greater rewards than fear. As a teenager, Buffett was already earning more money than many adults. He delivered newspapers before sunrise. He sold golf balls. He collected and resold used items. Every dollar he earned had a purpose. He didn't spend it. He invested it. By the age of 16, Buffett had accumulated the equivalent of well over $100,000 in today's money. Yet despite his growing wealth, his lifestyle hardly changed. He didn't chase expensive clothes. He didn't try to impress his friends. He believed that every unnecessary purchase was money that could have been invested instead. This way of thinking separated him from almost everyone around him. While others focused on what money could buy today, Buffett focused on what money could become tomorrow. That mindset would eventually shape every decision he made. It would also lead him to one of the greatest investment careers the world has ever seen. However, Part 3: The Rise to Success. Warren Buffett's life changed forever in 1951. At just 21 years old, he discovered that the insurance company Geico was closely connected to his mentor, Benjamin Graham. Curious to learn more, Buffett traveled to the company's headquarters on a Saturday morning, hoping someone might be there. Most people would have turned around after finding the office nearly empty. Buffett knocked anyway. The door was opened by Lorimer Davidson, a senior executive at Geico. What was supposed to be a brief visit turned into a 4-hour conversation about insurance, investing, and business. Buffett later described it as one of the most important meetings of his life. He left convinced that understanding businesses was far more valuable than simply studying stock prices. That lesson shaped every investment he made for the rest of his career. A few years later, Buffett began managing money for family members and close friends. He launched Buffett Partnership Limited with a simple philosophy: never lose money and only invest in businesses that make sense. Unlike many investors chasing the latest trends, Buffett searched for companies that were profitable, easy to understand, and capable of growing for decades. His patience paid off. Year after year, his partnerships consistently outperformed the stock market. His reputation quietly spread throughout the investment world. Then came the opportunity that would define his legacy. In 1965, Buffett took control of a struggling textile company called Berkshire Hathaway. Originally, he bought shares because he believed they were undervalued. But instead of treating Berkshire as a textile business, he transformed it into an investment holding company. Over the following decades, Berkshire Hathaway acquired stakes in some of the world's most successful businesses, including Coca-Cola, American Express, Apple, Bank of America, and many others. Each investment followed the same simple principle: buy great companies, hold them for the long term, ignore short-term market panic. As Berkshire grew, so did Buffett's fortune. Millions became billions, then tens of billions. Eventually, he became one of the wealthiest people on earth. But something remarkable happened along the way. The larger his fortune became, the less interested he seemed in living like a billionaire. While others spent fortunes proving they were rich, Warren Buffett continued living almost exactly as he always had. That decision would become one of the biggest mysteries surrounding the world's greatest investor. Part 4: The Height of Success and a Life Unchanged. By the 1980s, Warren Buffett was already one of the most respected investors in America. Every year, Berkshire Hathaway continued to grow. Its stock price climbed steadily. The companies Buffett had invested in generated billions of dollars in profits. His personal wealth reached levels that few people could even imagine. Yet, if you visited his neighborhood in Omaha, you might never guess who lived there. His home wasn't hidden behind massive gates. There were no towering walls. No fleet of luxury cars lined the driveway. It was the same 5-bedroom house he had purchased in 1958 for just $31,500. As his fortune grew from millions to billions, the address never changed. People often expected Buffett to own several mansions around the world. He didn't. They assumed he spent weekends on superyachts. He didn't. Many imagined private islands, extravagant parties, or lavish vacations. That wasn't his lifestyle either. Instead, Buffett built a daily routine that was surprisingly ordinary. He often started his mornings with a simple breakfast from McDonald's. He enjoyed reading newspapers for hours before arriving at the office. He spent much of his day reading annual reports, financial statements, and books. He once estimated that he devoted nearly 80% of his working day simply to reading and thinking. To Buffett, knowledge was a far better investment than luxury. His philosophy was simple. If something didn't make his life meaningfully better, there was little reason to buy it. He believed every unnecessary dollar spent today was a dollar that could have continued growing for decades through investing. That mindset didn't make him feel deprived. It made him feel free. Ironically, the less interested Buffett became in displaying his wealth, the more people admired him. He wasn't trying to look rich. He was trying to become wiser. But while the world celebrated his extraordinary discipline, there was another side of Warren Buffett's fortune that would surprise even more people. He had already decided that most of his billions would never belong to him forever. Part 5: The Secret Behind His Billions. Most billionaires spend their lives figuring out how to make more money. Warren Buffett spent much of his life figuring out how to give it away. In 2006, he made an announcement that stunned the world. He pledged to donate the vast majority of his fortune to charity. Not millions, not billions, almost everything. It became one of the largest charitable commitments in human history. Much of that wealth was directed to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, along with several foundations run by his own family. For Buffett, money had always been a tool, not a trophy. He once explained that leaving enormous fortunes to children could do more harm than good. Instead, he believed they should receive enough to pursue their dreams, but not so much that they would never need to build lives of their own. His decision challenged one of the biggest assumptions about wealth. Many people spend their entire lives accumulating money they hope to pass down for generations. Buffett believed true success wasn't measured by how much you kept. It was measured by how much good you could do with it. Even after becoming one of the richest people on the planet, he resisted the temptations that often come with extreme wealth. He continued wearing simple suits. He avoided extravagant purchases. He rarely sought the spotlight outside of his annual Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meetings. His greatest luxury wasn't a private jet or a mega yacht. It was the freedom to spend every day doing work he genuinely loved. That quiet philosophy earned him something far more valuable than admiration for his wealth. It earned him trust. For decades, investors followed Buffett not because he promised quick riches, but because he consistently lived by the same principles he preached. His life became proof that discipline isn't just something you practice when you're poor. It's something you choose even after you've become unimaginably rich. In a world where success is often measured by what people own, Warren Buffett built a legacy by showing the world what he didn't need. Part 6. Where is Warren Buffett today? Today, Warren Buffett is still regarded as one of the greatest investors who has ever lived. For more than 6 decades, he transformed Berkshire Hathaway from a struggling textile company into one of the most valuable corporations in the world. His investment philosophy has influenced millions of people, from first-time investors to some of the wealthiest business leaders on the planet. Despite his extraordinary success, one thing has remained remarkably consistent. He still lives in the same Omaha house he bought in 1958. While his net worth has grown into the hundreds of billions of dollars, his lifestyle has changed very little. He continues to value simplicity over status, patience over excitement, long-term thinking over short-term gratification. Even in his 90s, Buffett has remained active at Berkshire Hathaway, spending much of his time reading, analyzing businesses, and sharing lessons with investors around the world. His annual shareholder meeting has become known as the Woodstock for capitalists, attracting tens of thousands of people eager to hear his thoughts on business and life. But perhaps his greatest legacy isn't the fortune he built. It's the example he set. In an era where social media often encourages people to display wealth, Buffett demonstrated that true financial success doesn't require proving anything to anyone. He showed that money is most powerful when it creates freedom, not attention. His story reminds us that becoming rich and looking rich are two very different things. Many people spend money to appear wealthy. Warren Buffett invested his money so it could continue working for him. That simple difference changed the course of his life. And maybe that's the biggest secret of all. The billionaire who could have owned almost everything discovered that happiness was never about owning more. It was about needing less. What do you think? If you had Warren Buffett's fortune, would you continue living a simple life, or would you spend it differently? Share your thoughts in the comments below.